Right, so today we are talking about the Hardy Boys. So obviously the Hardy Boys are an American professional wrestling team consisting of brothers Matt and Jeff Hardy. They're signed to TNA Wrestling. They are widely regarded as one of the greatest tag teams of all time. The Hardy Boys began teaming together in 1995 on the independent circuit, where they won the NWA 2000s Tag Team Championship and founded Omega Championship Wrestling, capturing the promotion's tag team titles in 1997. They signed with WWE in 2000 and they joined later to form the popular trio known as Team Extreme. They are only the tag team in history to have held WWE World Tag Team Championships, WCW Tag Team Championships, and TNA World Tag Team Championships, ROH World Tag Team Championship, and the Raw, SmackDown, and NXT Tag Team Championships. So after disbanding in 2002, the brothers reunited in 2006 and teamed intermittently thereafter. They had a brief reunion in 2011 in Impact Wrestling, then known as TNA, as part of the Immortal, and had resumed regular tag team activity between 2014 and 2017, capturing the Raw Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania 33. They later won SmackDown Tag Team Championships the night after WrestleMania 35 in 2019. Matt's WWE contract expired in March 2020, making the end of that run. He subsequently signed to All Elite Wrestling. Jeff Wood also departed WWE in 2021 and joined Matt in AEW in 2022. Before both brothers returned to TNA in 2024 and later returned to WWE on the NXT brand in 2025. Recognised as one of the greatest and most decorated tag teams in professional wrestling, both brothers have also found success in singles competition, with each becoming multi-time world champions. In 2017, they held 7 different tag titles from 7 companies simultaneously, including the ROH Tag Team Championship, Impact Tag Team Championship, a feat that was unmatched in wrestling history. The Hardy Boys are especially noted for their high-risk, innovative performance in ladder matches and table ladders and chair matches. They are widely credited with helping to revolutionise tag team wrestling during the Attitude Era. And in 2012, WWE ranked them number 2 in the list of the greatest tag teams in history. Collectively, they are 15-time world champions between WWE, TNA, and ROH. So now we've gone through a basic, an overview of them. We're going to get into the history of them, which might take a while. So in the early years, between 1995 and 1998, the brothers formed a tag team in 1995 after Jeff's debut in Trampoline Wrestling Federation. The promotion went by several names, and it was modernised in 1997 as the Organisation of Modern Extreme Grappling Arts, known as Omega. The duo worked in several independent promotions throughout North Carolina, holding the Omega Tag Team Championships in WA 2000 Tag Team Championships, and they held their first record tag team for Smoky Mountain Wrestling in July of 1995. The first match as a team in WWF was against the New Rockers on May 28th, 1996 for the June 15th episode of WWF Superstars. Later that, they wrestled against Smoking Guns, Harris Twins, the Headbangers, and Kurgan in a handicap match. So now we're going to get into later on from 1998 to 2009 in the World Wrestling Entertainment. Right, so rise to popularity that they had after being signed to the contract in 1998, they were trained by Dory Funk Jr. in his funking dojo. The Hardy Boys stated their run as a popular tag team with the win over Kai on a Sunday Night Heat. Soon after their Sunday Night Heat win, they built up a fan base following through their high-flying tag team antics. They started to become serious contenders for the tag team championship after they became managed by Michael Hayes, formerly a member of the Fabulous Freebirds. And on a 99 episode of Raw is War, they defeated the Acolytes to win their first WWF Tag Team Championship. But they re-lost the titles, the Acolytes, in a little less than a month later at Fully Loaded on July 25th. They eventually dumped Haynes as their manager in August, becoming villains and briefly associating themselves with Gangrel as part of the New Brood. After winning a series of matches against Edge and Christian, deemed the Terry Invitational Tournament, they won the services of Terry Runnels as their manager by winning the first ever tag team ladder match at No Mercy, and then dumped Gangrel the next night, becoming faces. The fans also gave both teams a standing ovation the next night on Raw. This began an over 2-year rivalry between the Hardy Boys and the team of Edge and Christian. During this time, they gained some notoriety. What's that word today? Basically, they joined with Lita and became more popular. So with the addition of Lita, Matt and Jeff comprised a trio dubbed the Team Extreme. The name serving as a reflection of their extreme high-flying moves. In 2000, they were involved in feuds with Edge and Christian and Dudley Boys in a ladder match and TLC matches. They faced Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys at WrestleMania 2000, the Triple Threat Tag Team ladder match. The Dudleys started the match as the champions and Edge and Christian won the title. The Hardys faced Edge and Christian for the titles at Insurrection and defeated them by disqualification, which meant Edge and Christian retained the title. At King of the Ring, the Hardy Boys squared off in a Four Corners elimination match for the Tag Team title championship, which included the champions Too Cool, TNA, and Edge and Christian. The Hardys were able to eliminate TNA before getting eliminated themselves by Edge and Christian. At SummerSlam on August 27th, the Hardy Boys were defeated in the first ever TLC match for the titles, which Edge and Christian won, in which the Dudley Boys were also competed. Unforgiven, the Hardy Boys defeated Edge and Christian at a cage match to win the titles for the second time. They re-lost the titles to Edge and Christian, but they won the match. They won them back at the Raw. Next night on Raw is Raw for the third time. During the match, the Hardy Boys were dressed as Los Conquistadors, but tore off their masks at the end of the match, revealing themselves. The team lost the titles less than a month later to Right Censor, when Edge and Christian came out and assaulted the Hardys, allowing the Right Censor to pick up the win and the title. The Hardys became involved in the feud with Edge and Christian and Right Censor at Survivor Series. The Hardys, along with the Dudley Boys, defeated Edge and Christian and Right Censor in the Survivor Series elimination match. At Rebellion, the Hardys faced the Right Censor in a rematch for the titles, but unable to win the titles when Val Venus interfered. Dean Malenko defeated the Hardy Boys' valet Lita to retain the Light Heavyweight Championship and earned himself a date with her 3 days later on SmackDown. When Malenko took Lita on a date, he received a beating from the Hardys. The Hardys began feuding with Malenko and his friends, the Radicals. The two teams faced each other on several tag team and single matches on Raw as well and SmackDown. The two teams squared off against each other in Armageddon, with Guerrero, Malenko, and Saturn taking on the Hardy Boys and Lita. The Radicals won the match. Hardy Boys won the WCW Tag Team Championship from Booker T and Test. They lost the title to the Dudley Boys 2 weeks later on SmackDown. They beat Booker and Test again, but this time for the WWF Tag Team Championships. At Survivor Series, they lost the titles to the Dudley Boyz in a Steel Cage title unification match. This defeat led to a breakup storyline that resulted in a match between the brothers at Vengeance. Jeff would emerge victorious after Lita, who was in special referee, failed to see Matt's foot on the rope. The storyline was dropped in January 2002 and they reunited. At No Way Out on February 17th, the Dudley Boyz participated in a tag team match, turmoil match, which was won by the APA at WrestleMania X8. Along with the APA and the Dudley Boyz, the Hardys challenged Billy and Chuck for the WWF Tag Team Championship in Four Corners elimination match. The APA were eliminated by the Dudley Boyz, whom the Hardy Boyz managed to eliminate. In the end, they were pinned by the champions, therefore losing the opportunity. Then they began to feud with newcomer Brock Lesnar and his manager Paul Heyman at the Judgment Day. The Hardy Boyz lost to Lesnar and Heyman in a tag team match. So they're split into departure in 2002 to 2005. The Jewish split up after Jeff began a storyline with The Undertaker, while Matt was relegated to working on Heat. In the storyline, Matt then attacked Jeff due to jealousy, so Jeff getting opportunities, including the match for the Intercontinental Championship. Matt was then moved to SmackDown brand, where he dubbed himself Matt Hardy version 1 and the sensei of Mattitude, and picked up real life friend Shannon Moore, who briefly crashed Holly as followers. He later won the Cruiserweight Championship from Billy Kidman at No Way Out. Jeff was released from WWE for erratic behaviour, drug use, refusal to go to rehab, and deteriorating performances in the ring, as well as constant tardiness and no showing at events. Following his release from WWE, Jeff debuted on TNA in mid-2004. After no showing several events, he was suspended in 2006 before leaving the company soon afterwards. Meanwhile, in April 2005, Matt was released from WWE due to unprofessional conduct with social media after discovering Lita had a real-life affair with Edge. He was rehired just a few months later, feuding with Edge, and eventually sent to SmackDown. So their reunion in between 2006 and 2007. So Jeff rejoined WWE in 2006 on its Raw brand. In November, it was announced on WWE's official website that Matt and Jeff would team up for the first time together over 4 years as members of Team DX at Survivor Series. The Hardys, as they were known, first given a warm-up match in an episode of ECW on Sci-Fi, defeating the Full-Blooded Italians. At Survivor Series, Team DX defeated Team Rated RKO in a clean sweep. So on an episode of Raw, the Hardys had their first shot at a tag gold in 5 years. They took on World Tag Team Champions Rated RKO, but it came up short when Edge hit Jeff in the back with a belt to get himself and Orton disqualified to retain the title. That same day, the Hardys proposed an open challenge to any team in the ECW's brand, December to Dismember, which immediately set by reuniting Eminem. After the run on the intervening ECW, the Hardys defeated Eminem at the event, starting a feud between all four men that spanned both brands. The Hardys got their first chance to gain the WWE Tag Team Championship at Armageddon, where the original tag team was changed to four-team ladder match involving the Hardys, Eminem, Dave Taylor, and William Regal. Paul and Brian Kendrick. Despite coming up short, the Hardys sparked another feud with Eminem when Mercury was legitimately injured. While Jeff and Nitro continued battling over the Intercontinental Championship, Matt and Mercury feuded on SmackDown. Mercury and Nitro tried injuring both Hardys' faces as payback for what happened at Armageddon, claiming that the Hardys had ruined Mercury's Hollywood good looks. The Hardys settled their feud with Eminem at the Royal Rumble when they defeated them for the second time. Matt and Mercury continued feuding, however, which was finally settled on No Way Out, in which the Hardys teamed with Chris Benoit to beat Eminem and Montevosius Porter. On an episode of Raw, the Hardys won the World Tag Team Championships for the 6th time. in their career after winning a 10-team battle royal after losing single bouts to both Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch. The Hardys retained their World Tag Team Championship at Backlash, both Backlash and Judgment Day, against the team of Cade and Murdoch at One Night Stand. The Hardys retained the titles against the World's Greatest Tag Team in a ladder match. The next night at Raw, however, the Hardys lost the championship to Cade and Murdoch when Jeff missed a swanton bomb and was pinned by Cade after Murdoch pushed his foot off the bottom rope of the ring. Cade and Murdoch attacked the Hardys with the championship belts after the match. Hardys got a rematch of Vengeance, but was unsuccessful after Jeff was hit with a sit-out spinebuster by Cade. The Hardy Boys once again returned to WWE on an episode of ECW to face MVP and Mr. Kennedy. The match was originally scheduled for November 16th episode of SmackDown. The Hardys were unsuccessful in the return as MVP pinned Jeff for the win. The Hardys announced and referred to themselves once again as the Hardy Boys Reunited. Once again in 2008. In a losing effort to John Morrison and The Miz, the match occurred after Jeff was drafted to SmackDown brand, same brand as Matt. Their loss, however, caused Matt to be drafted to ECW. The Hardys reunited in their home state of North Carolina, defeating Morrison and The Miz. The Hardys then teamed up on an episode of SmackDown and an episode of Raw, winning both matches. The feud and second departure. So, the Hardy Boys kickstarted in 2009 with a win over Edge and Big Show on an episode of SmackDown. The last match for then WWE Champion and ECW Champion as a team, Matt would lose the ECW Championship to Jack Swagger. Heading into the Royal Rumble, Matt was attempting to regain the championship from Jack Swagger, while Jeff held the WWE Championship. After Matt lost to Swagger, he interfered in Jeff's match with Edge, hitting Jeff with a steel chair, allowing Edge to win the WWE Championship. Matt announced that he was the permanent disbandment of the tag team due to the events of the Royal Rumble, that he no longer considered Jeff as his partner or brother. Matt moved to SmackDown brand and began scripted rivalry with Jeff. The pair faced each other in Extreme Rules match at WrestleMania 25, which Matt won. They later faced each other at a stretcher match, in which Matt gained his second win over Jeff. As a part of the 2009 WWE draft, Matt was drafted to Raw. Despite this, the brothers faced each other in a quit match at Backlash, which Jeff won. Matt also interfered in Jeff's World Heavyweight Champion match against Edge at Judgment Day, preventing him from winning the championship. On August 21st episode of SmackDown, Jeff, then World Heavyweight Champion, and Matt reunited as the Hardys and teamed with Morrison in a 6-man tag match to defeat CM Punk and the Hart Dynasty. The following week, Jeff lost a loser leaves the WWE steel cage match to CM Punk, resulting in him leaving the company. Over a year later, Matt requested and was granted his release from his contract with WWE. So then they go to tag team. They go to Total Non-Stop Action Wrestling between 2010 and 2017. So Jeff made his TNA return in 2010 episode of Impact. He went on to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship at Bound for Glory with the help of Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, revealing that they and others had formed the Immortal faction. At TNA's 2011 pay-per-view Genesis, Matt made his TNA debut as a surprise member of the Immortal and defeated RVD. Jeff went on to lose TNA World Heavyweight Championship to Mr. Anderson later that night. The Hardy Brothers reunited as heels for the first time since 1999 and defeated Van Dam and Anderson. Following the Victory Road pay-per-view, Immortal severed their ties with Jeff. Matt was released from TNA after being arrested for drinking while intoxicated on August the 20th. Matt returned to TNA in mid-2014 at Destination X. The Hardys unsuccessfully challenged for the Wolves for the TNA World Tag Team Championship. The Hardys were defeated by Team 3D at Hardcore Justice edition of Impact Wrestling. The Hardys and Team 3D challenged the Wolves to a three-way for the TNA World Tag Team Championships, to which they agreed. Kurt Angle later announced that all three teams would compete in the best of three series for the titles, with the winners for the first match being able to choose stipulation for the next one. Team 3 won the first match and chose Stables match. The Hardys won the second match and chose a ladder match. And the Wolves won the third match on No Surrender episode of Impact Wrestling, tying them all to one win each. A final match to decide the series took place and was won by the Wolves. The Hardys participated in a tournament to determine the number one contenders match, the contenders to the TNA World Tag Team Championship. They defeated the Bromans, Ethan Cotter III, Tyrus, and Samoa Joe and Low-Ki to win the tournament. At Lockdown, the Hardys unsuccessfully challenged the Revolution for the TNA World Tag Team Championship 6-eye steel cage match. After the Wolves vacated the titles due to injury to Eddie Edwards, at Ultimate X match was held for the titles. Broken tibia. On August 4th episode of Impact Wrestling, after a lengthy feud with the deletion of Jeff Hardy, Broken Matt sent Jeff, at the time referred to as Brother Nero, a request to procure Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Championship for him. Broken Matt and Brother Nero defeated Bromans, the Tribe Noble, and Helm's Dynasty in an Ascension to Hell Fatal 4-Way number one contenders ladder match for the opportunity to challenge Decay for their tag team championships at Bound for Glory. Broken Matt climbed the ladder and grabbed the contract for Nero, sacrificing himself off by jumping off the ladder and onto Trevor Lee. The Hardys invited Decay to come to their hometown compound, plotting the sequel of Final Deletion, Double Delete or Decay. Broken Matt turned babyface during the encounter when King Maxwell, who was kidnapped by Decay, and when Brother Nero took a hit from Abyss spiked bat, and Broken Matt healed him via the Lake of Restoration. At TNA Bound for Glory, they defeated Decay to become the two-time TNA World Tag Team Champions. They retained the titles against Decay in a Wolf Creek match. They were attacked by the Tribunal. The Hardys would then face the Tribunal 1 week later. And the Hardys would face the Tribunal 1 week later. A broadcast where they would be able to successfully defend the titles. However, after the DCC... Oh, doesn't make sense, sorry. I think I forgot a bit. However, after the match, they returned to the dressing rooms and they really went dark, signaling the arrival of the new faction dubbed the DCC. The DCC would use the darkness to attack and lay out the Tribunal on the Hardy as the Hardys looked on from the ramp, thus potentially building an oncoming rivalry in weeks to come. The Hardys announced their departure from TNA after negotiations a new contract fell through, though they offered to return to drop the belts at the next tapings. TNA's parent company, the Anthem, declined. So the Hardy Brothers were reunited for the first time in 3 years at Omega Chaos in Cameron in 2014, defeating the Briscoe Brothers in a highly rated first time ever match between the teams. They also had a critically acclaimed trilogy with the Young Bucks in 2014. The Hardys won the first two matchups in the Northeast Wrestling, while the Young Bucks won the third match at the House of Hardcore 5. I think that is I don't know. House of Hardcore V11, I don't know what that is. You go from Roman numerals to numbers, I don't really know. I want to say 5, but I don't think it is. It might be 7. So yeah, they continued to team sporadically on the independent circuit in late 2016 and early 2017, while still carrying the TNA World Tag Team Championships. They embarked on a referred exhibition of gold, and they continue to be recognised as Impact TNA Tag Team Championships. They offered to drop the belts at the next tapings, but the TNA's parent company Anthem declined. On March 3rd taping, aired March 16th, Impact Wrestling formally vacated the tag titles. The Hardys debuted for ROH at Manhattan's Mayhem 6, defeating the Young Bucks to win the ROH World Tag Team Championship. Since Impact had not yet aired, the storyline vacating the TNA titles, they were at the moment recognised simultaneously as TNA and ROH champions, a unique occurrence in tag team history. They lost the ROH titles back to the Young Bucks in a ladder match at the Supercard of Honor on April 1st, 2017. Following the loss, they announced the ROH contracts also expired. So WrestleMania 33, the Hardys made an unannounced return to WWE. The host, The New Day, announced the triple threat ladder match for the Raw Tag Team Championship, which they had been set by WWE before the event, was now going to be a fatal four-way match. They then began jokingly questioning the arena about who the mystery team could be before the Hardy Boys made their entrance to the stage with massive ovation from the crowd. At the event, the Hardy Boys won the Raw Tag Team Championship, defeating Enzo and Cass, Cesaro and Sheamus, and then reigning champions Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. The night after WrestleMania, they successfully defended the Raw Tag Team Championships against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Afterwards, on Raw Talk, Matt mentioned that Hardy Boys had successfully completed the Exhibition of Gold after winning the Raw Tag Team Championships. They would retain the titles at Payback after Sheamus and Cesaro against Sheamus and Cesaro, but lost them at Extreme Rules in a steel cage match and failed to regain it at the inaugural Great Balls of Fire event. In September, Jeff suffered a torn rotator cuff and would be out of action for 6 months, leaving Matt to begin a run as a single competitor. However, 2 years later, on an episode of SmackDown Live, the Hardy Boys returned and defeated the Usos to win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. With this, they became the first team to win all 3 WWE World Tag Team Championships. However, they vacated the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships due to Jeff suffering a leg injury from Lars Sullivan. While Jeff was recovering, Matt was featured less on WWE television until he left WWE in 2020, and we went off to sign with All Elite Wrestling. Jeff went to become a singles competitor before being released in 2021. So Matt announced on Twitter that he and Jeff would be reuniting at their final run, a wrestling match in Big Time Wrestling. They would be facing the winner of the match between the Briscoes and the SAT. Jeff debuted on AEW, reuniting the brothers for the first time in over 2 years. Matt and Jeff billed as the Hardys wrestled their first AEW match, defeating Private Party. In Rostrava, Pennsylvania, the brothers wrestled against the main event for the IWC Tag Team Championship and successfully captured their first tag team titles in 3 years. During the successful bout that the Hardys had AEW at the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view against the Young Bucks, Jeff suffered a terrible concussion-like injury, which was, according to Matt Hardy, left him almost knocked out. AEW Tony Khan will suspend Jeff Hardy indefinitely from AEW the day following his arrest for DUI, driving with a suspended license, violating a restriction that required him to keep the ignition interlock device, handheld breathalyzers to prevent users from starting their vehicles after drinking alcohol in his car. Khan also announced that Jeff's AEW suspension would only be lifted upon successfully completing treatment and retaining his sobriety. Jeff Hardy returned as his brother during an assault, thus reuniting the team in 2023. And in 2024, it was reported that Matt's contract has expired and decided not to renew, effectively disbanding the team. 2 months later, Jeff's also departed from AEW after his contract also ended. Matt Hardy made his surprise return to TNA 2024 at Rebellion, reverting back to Broken gimmick, attacking TNA World Champion Moose. Against all odds, Matt unsuccessfully challenged Moose for the championship. After the match, Jeff made his surprise return to TNA to come to Matt's aid from post-match attack from Moose. The Hardys won their third TNA World Tag Team Championship by defeating the previous champions, The System and ABC, at Bound for Glory in a full Metal Mayhem match to win the titles. The Hardys would later lose their championships to the Nymphs following the following year at Rebellion, only to regain them at Slammiversary in a fatal four-way ladder match, also involving the Rascals and First Class at Bound for Glory. Hardys retained the TNA and NXT Tag Team titles against Team 3D in a tables match where it was a retirement match for Team 3D. Now getting against the second return to WWE in 2025. While still contracted to TNA, the Hardy Boyz made return appearance in WWE during the 25th February 2025 episode of NXT at NXT Roadblock. The Hardys successfully defended the TNA World Tag Team Championship against NXT Tag Team Championship Nathan Fraser and Axiom. At NXT vs TNA Showdown on October 7th, the Hardy Boyz defeated Dark State and the Winners Take All match to win the NXT Championship. As such, the Hardys achieved several records, becoming the first contracted TNA wrestlers to win the WWE title, the fourth team to complete a WWE Tag Team Triple Crown, and the first team to complete the WWE. The first team to win a WWE Tag Team Championship in 4 different decades. At Halloween Havoc, the Hardys competing under the Broken Gimmicks lost the NXT Tag Team Championships back to the Dark State in a Broken Rules match, ending their reign at 18 days. So we're going to talk a bit about their other media. So the Hardys appeared in the February 7th episode, 1919 episode of the 70s show titled The Wrestling Show as uncredited wrestlers. Jeff and Matt, along with Lita, also appeared in Tough Enough in 2001, talking and wrestling with their friends. So yeah, I chose the Hardy Boyz just because I wanted to do something a bit different. Well, not different, but another tag team because I just done a couple. Like single wrestlers, and obviously as you can tell, I'm in my living room. I put something in the background. Stepmom's home this week. She's on holiday. So I'm just trying to think. So yeah, Saturday she's not there. Friday she's not going to be there. And Sunday she's not going to be here. So I could possibly do more. I'm 3 days after work in my room, so you've actually got the background I usually have rather than this. Yeah, if you like this video, I know it's a bit boring because I'm just sitting here talking. But if you want like another video on something similar to the Hardy Boyz, like just Matt or just Jeff or Lita, or if you want one on Edge or Christian or someone like that, I can do that, or I can do about match. So I haven't done that yet. I haven't done any videos on matches. Or I can do another controversy one on what AEW wrestlers. Just tell me what you want, really.